whoever's watching, I'm Riley. I just kind of wanted a place to talk about books. I really love reading. I love good storytelling. I've been wanting to kind of start a YouTube channel for some time now, just talking about books, things I'm reading, things I want to read. So this is kind of my first attempt at trying something like this. So we'll see how it goes. I don't have much of a structure for what these might look like. Just figured the best way is just to start talking. So we'll get right into it. So today for this video, I just kind of wanted to start off maybe introducing myself a little bit and then talk about some recent books I've gotten, as well as what I'm currently reading. And we'll just kind of go from there. So to talk a little bit about my reading journey, I guess. I used to read a lot in high school, really loved reading. My mom is a big reader, my grandma is a big reader, and my grandma is actually the one who kind of really got me into reading, Stephen King, of all people. And so I really got into Stephen King when I was in early high school. So kind of started off with him, read some classics as well, and kind of tiptoed around a lot of different genres. Harry Potter, of course. All the YA stuff, except for Twilight, no Twilight. Anyway, so I really liked reading in high school. Spent a lot of time doing it, and then college came around and reading started to feel like homework. And I'm sure this is not a story that's abnormal. This is probably a very normal order of events for some readers out there, but college kind of made reading feel like a chore to me. So I kind of fell off reading for a while there. And then recently, within the last 3 to 4 years, kind of just jumped back into it and fell in love with it all over again. And that basically leads to now I just want to talk about books. I want to talk about things that are interesting to me and stories that I'm just being captivated by. So hopefully, if you're watching, whoever's watching, maybe you'll find something you like in here, and it'll encourage you to read more or try out some new books, and maybe I'll learn about some new books in the process as well. So now I want to talk about some books I picked up recently. I did celebrate my 30th birthday a couple weeks ago, so I got some gifts that were books, and my wife and I spent the day also in Columbus, Ohio at the Book Loft. Picked up some books while we were there. So just a couple things I'm excited about that we'll get right into. So first, you might be able to see it here on the stack, Stephen King's It. This was a big blind spot for me as a Stephen King fan, and it's kind of bittersweet coming into it because this is like one of the last, this is one of Stephen King's best books, right? And so at least many constant readers think so. So this is kind of the last of his greats that I've haven't read. So super excited to get into it. I'll talk about it a little bit more later when I talk about what I'm currently reading. And then next, no surprise, another Stephen King book. Picked up The Dead Zone. This is another one. Haven't read yet. Super excited. I've heard so many good things. I really do like these new covers they're doing, kind of like these vintage style publishing of these older Stephen King books. I have another one for The Shining that's pretty neat. So The Dead Zone, super excited to read that. And then I do have one more Stephen King, last Stephen King book, I promise. But Under the Dome, this big boy. I've read this book before. This was actually one of the first few Stephen King books I read. It was recommended to me by my grandmother, and I just fell in love with it. The characters, the small town setting, I think Stephen King writes perfectly. And then just the scenario, a big dome closing in over a town. Come on, that's awesome. Seeing what happens, how the town falls apart, how the social structure changes, how people react to being inside of a bubble and not being able to leave. Just some really good stuff. It gets bonkers, this book. So I'm super excited to reread it again, hopefully here soon. And then this next one is Words of Radiance by Brandon Sanderson. I just read The Way of Kings earlier this year. It's only the second Sanderson book I've read. I read Mistborn a few years ago. Wasn't super impressed by it, but I've heard so many good things about the Stormlight Archive, and a couple good friends of mine recommended it wholeheartedly as well. So I loved Way of Kings. So I'm super excited to read Words of Radiance, see what Kaladin and the gang are up to next. And also just the cover art. I mean, this in The Way of Kings, this cover art just looks amazing. It kind of reminds me of old like movie posters that were painted, which you don't see that a lot anymore, but really cool cover art as well. I know that's not why we buy books, right? But it does help. And lastly, of the new pickups is Kubrick, An Odyssey. This is a biography about Stanley Kubrick. Hopefully you know who Stanley Kubrick is, director of so many classics, The Shining, A Clockwork Orange, Full Metal Jacket, just to name a few. Stanley Kubrick is such an influence in my life. Some of his movies are just, have had such an impact on me. So when I saw this I'm pretty sure this like just came out last year, 2024, so it's relatively new, but a biography about Kubrick. And I think they say that it's the most complete biography of Kubrick. So super excited to get into this and learn more about Stanley Kubrick. Now I want to talk a little bit about what I'm currently reading. I'm not one to read a lot of books at the same time. Usually I just pick one or two. If I read too many books at one time, I find that it just takes me forever to finish anything. I'm not the fastest reader. So I like to kind of just focus in on one or two books. And usually those two books are very different from each other. One is fiction and one's maybe nonfiction or something educational. So as mentioned earlier, I did pick up recently Stephen King's It. So this is, like I said, kind of a blind spot in my Stephen King reading. So I'm super excited to be getting into this. I'm only about 300 pages in so far. And so far it is in every way living up to the hype. So I'm super excited to keep getting into that one. And you might be thinking like, why are you just now reading it? I mean, if you're such a big Stephen King fan, like, isn't that one of the first ones you read? So I'm actually in the process of reading the expanded Dark Tower universe book. So Dark Tower, again, one of Stephen King's long-running franchises or series called The Dark Tower. A lot of other smaller books or a lot of other books in his bibliography have either tie-ins to The Dark Tower, references, whatever it may be, even characters. So a lot of constant readers have put together kind of an extended reading order that's like 20, 23 books long. So I'm mostly done with that. One of the books recommended to read before you reach the end was It. So that's part of what kind of motivated me to go ahead and read It and get that big boy under my belt. So anyway, so it's been really good so far. Really excited to keep going, find out what happens, and some truly chilling scenes so far. So it's definitely serving up what to be expected in that department as well. The other book I'm reading is quite the contrast from Stephen King's It. It is called An Introduction to the Making and Meaning of the Bible by Dr. Michael Shepherd. This book has been really interesting so far. It is exactly what the title says. It's all about the making and meaning of the Bible. So I'm not too far into it yet, but a lot of what I've read so far is mostly talking about the origins of the books of the Bible, and yeah, how it was put together, and kind of how, in light of that, how do we interpret it? How do we read it? So some really interesting things in here. Excited to keep going in this book as well. That about wraps up today's video. If you stuck to the end, if anyone's even watching, thank you for listening to me ramble and just talk about books and things I love in that department. If I do more of these, we'll see how this goes. You can expect maybe some book reviews, some book haul videos, or just generally talking about books, things I'm excited to read, things coming up. So we'll see. Please stick around, see where this goes along with me. But with that, I'll catch you in the next one.